I told you, I took a ton of bricks off of Jalen Hurts' back second half of Buffalo. I've been consistent since Buffalo's second half. I'm convinced that the sideline gets in his way. I mean, as we're getting closer to the college football playoffs, Thursday, my Hurricanes against Ole Miss. Friday, we have what? Indiana, Oregon. Then the weekend, wild card games. And then we have the musical chairs in the coaching ranks. I mean, dude, the musical chairs. I'm going to say this to you here about John Harbaugh. Okay? The winner of 180 games. 180 games he's won. He's won a Super Bowl. He has been in numerous conference championship games. And I'm going to apply that to Nick Sirianni here. No matter what your resume says, eventually you're getting canned. It's just a matter of when. Here's John Harbaugh's record the last 4 years. 10-7, 13-4, 12-5, 8-9. Obviously, disappointment this year. 43-25 in the last 4 seasons. And you fired him. You fired a guy who's got a winning record in the postseason, and you fired a guy who is going to the Pro Football Hall of Fame. And right now, you want to know what the owner of the Baltimore Ravens did? They just made John Harbaugh the richest head football coach in the league. He's going to make in excess of $20 million wherever he lands. Within a matter of 8 minutes yesterday, when that news broke that he got fired, get this, 8 teams called. There were only 6 openings. 8 teams. That number's gone up more now since the news broke yesterday. He's going to make more than $20 million because he's going to be able to handpick where he goes. And I'm going to tell you why I think. By the way, it's not a John Harbaugh issue in Baltimore. It's a Lamar Jackson issue. John's won a Super Bowl. This is the Lamar Jackson issue. John has nothing to prove. Lamar does. Now the ton of bricks are on him. Harbaugh's proved it. He's won his Super Bowl. This is not him. And by the way, here's why I think he got fired. You ready? He got fired because he didn't lose the locker room. He lost the quarterback. That's what happened. He lost the quarterback. Okay? I completely agree, Marsh. They chose the quarterback. John Harbaugh has proven his knowledge. He's won a Super Bowl. This is on Lamar. Just like it's going to be, you know, the next guy that they're going to do this to? The guy in Buffalo, Sean McDermott. If you can fire John Harbaugh, you're going to fire Sean McDermott. If they get bounced by the Jags in the opening round, I guarantee you he's out. John Harbaugh in Buffalo with Josh Allen, I want to see that. Harbaugh's going to have, if you've got a current head football coach now that you're suspect on, like if you're the Jets, if you're Dan Quinn and Josh Harris, you're going to keep Dan Quinn for John Harbaugh? Think about that. If you're the Buccaneers, are you going to keep Todd Bowles over John Harbaugh? The owner of the Ravens did John Harbaugh the biggest favor you could have ever given that guy. He didn't fail. He delivered a championship. By the way, you want to hear this? That's a franchise that, why would he go to Cleveland? Would you have Rich Lerner And you had what? You have like this guy, Jimmy Haslam. They've been terrible in Cleveland. Why would John want that gig? You want to go to a place that's got some decent management at least. Okay? And by the way, you got 3 years at $16 million you owe John Harbaugh. He's paid all the way through like, what is it, 30? 28? That you have to pay him? He's got like 2 extra years, something like that, 3 years left on his contract. This guy's going to be making $16, $17 million a year, sitting on his ass, picking the right job. My point is, if John Harbaugh can be fired, he's only 62. Anybody can be fired. That guy is going to go somewhere, and he's going to make a king's ransom. And he's going to have complete autonomy. Might be Atlanta. I think Atlanta's a good job. You got pieces down there. Silz, if Harbaugh, by the way, Super Chats, please do me a favor and hit the like button. Silz, if Harbaugh wins another Super Bowl to whoever he goes to, this is going to indictment on Lamar. Right now, I see him going to New York or Atlanta. This is going to be an indictment. This is a complete indictment on Lamar. Those two guys couldn't make it happen. There is no doubt. Why in the hell would he go to the Raiders? For what? To work for a guy that looks like Pugsley with that haircut? I mean, the Raiders are a train wreck. Why would you go there? I'd hire John Gruden back. Okay? That's right, man. Silz, how you doing? For John collecting those checks, man. 3 years at 16 to 17 million a year. How you doing? Sitting back on your ass and hanging out eating crab cakes. How you doing? Pillar of his community. Oh, absolutely, man. This is a slap in the face of Lamar. Lamar, you couldn't get it done with a Hall of Fame coach? Who are you going to bring in there for that job? Reports are coming out of Philadelphia. Lane Johnson. You know, when you hear this stuff, it's not so much about whether Lane's going to start on Sunday against the 49ers. It's whether he can finish. He goes in there and plays 1 or 2 plays. You might not have played him. You might as well have sat him another week and prayed you won without him so you can get into the divisional round with him. What I don't want is a Lane Johnson limping through the playoffs, and when you get into the Super Bowl, you don't have him. Hey, I get it. It's a tough road that you're on right now here with him. I get it. Supers, appreciate it, guys. Thank you. Should Philly go after Cliff Kingsbury? He was fired. Mikey. Cliff Kingsbury is such a wrong fit for Philadelphia because the head coach. By the way, I'm not slamming Nick. This is how they do business. What's that stuff that Xander says all the time? This is the way Philly operates. Stay within that. Mikey, I'm not saying your take is wrong. Kingsbury would be a great RPO guy for Hurts. 2 things, though. They don't hire coordinators for the quarterback. They hire him for the coach. Okay? And Nick's not giving control up when it comes to the offensive play calling. He's just not. We see that. That's not happening. They like to look. They have they barely have any control of Vic Fangio on the defensive side. You got Nick Sirianni on the offensive side. And I think, get this. Can I tell you, when I hear those pressers, when I hear John and Xander talking about the press conferences, do you know, can I tell you, let me ask you this. Do you think people are competitive by nature? Do you? How many people feel they're competitive by nature? You like to compete. Compete with your brothers. I picture there's a brotherly rivalry that Xander wants to do some of the things that his brother's doing too. Vice versa. I know I had competitive with my cousins, right? Everybody's competitive. Do we not agree? I could see Kingsbury in Baltimore. I could too. Oh my God, Kingsbury with Lamar would be insane. I agree, Marsh. Everybody's competitive. So when those guys are in that pit and they're talking to Nick, do you think he gets sick and tired of hearing you say this? How about this? Your offense sucks and your defense is spectacular. Boy, your defense under Vic is great. Your offense sputters on offense. Your defense, man, the concepts, I mean, the things that they do. Look at what he's done with the linebackers. As an offensive-minded guy like Nick, you think that wears him out a bit? Why wouldn't it? He's competitive. He says he's competitive. That's his offense, he says. Okay? That's his offense. By nature, you're competitive. And, like you said, Mikey, there's only one head coach screaming at people, fans and whatever. Sirianni's got a gigantic ego. So when you hear the questions being asked, offense blows, defense gets praise. How do you think he feels about that? Great. Especially when he's got his name on the offense. How do you think he feels about that, as competitive as he is? And I do agree he is. Right? Your offense goes nowhere. It's so inconsistent. When he was answering questions, he was defending Kevin Patullo. Wasn't praising anybody on offense. The defensive side of the ball, the questions were praise. Look at what the job that Jalen Phillips has done. How about the things that you're seeing with Zach Bond and what Vic has done with him? Look at the player development on that side compared to the player development on the offensive side. You think there's competitive juices that go back and forth? I know this. When you're in an NFL locker room and you're in an NFL setting, everything's competitive. Did you see J-Mac hint at this morning that Lane injury may actually be mental health related? Also, who do you think would hold us back mostly on Sunday? You know, I stay away from mental health stuff like that because I'm not in the building with him, and I know that he struggled with it. And John's around him a lot more than me, so I'm going to lean on John with that, being around him more. I just know that mental health has been an issue. I've talked to Jay Glazer about it. He and Jay Glazer are very good friends. And so that I've heard the same issues, that there's mental health issues there sometimes with Lane Johnson. So I'm going to abstain from that. And Liz Frank, hey, by the way, you know what he could be debating? Hey, no one likes to be beat up and hurt. Especially this late in his years in the NFL. Okay? I think what you do is you throw a prayer out for the guy. Hope things are cool. Mental health's a thing, dude. You know, years ago it was looked at as being like soft. Years ago, if you mentioned stuff like that, I showed you a newspaper article when I had my issues with the Bucks. Dude, it's a real thing, man. Some have it deeper, some don't. He should feel the shame of his lack of ability to call an offense. Okay, now Marsh, going back to the topic here a little bit. Well, when you hear Vic talking and they're talking about Vic, all you hear is the praise. I don't hear any offensive praise. Okay? Nick said something today, so let's get to the topics. Do me a favor, guys. Please hit the like button. Thank you guys very much. I appreciate all of you. I think this is going to be one of the most entertaining playoffs that you could possibly have. Nick said something in the presser It's funny, when I hear the presser, I hear something completely different than a lot of people. Nick said that the offense has an identity. Will somebody explain to me what it is? I'm asking a question here because I don't know what it is. Nick said in his press conference that the offense has an identity. What is it? What's the identity for the 2025 Philadelphia Eagles? What would you call their identity? By the way, Battle Royale, Big Z will be with us at 3:30. Prevent offense. Okay? Incompetence in play calling. Guys, I'm not looking to slam anybody here. I'm asking you what you think their identity is. Okay? Let's go with the number one Eagle fan in Philadelphia. Gritty, inevitable underdogs. How can you be an underdog when you're the defending champs? That's not an identity for an offense. Inconsistent. Okay? Anybody with any kind of, what was he talking about when he said identity? Here would be my identity. What I would call them heading into the playoffs. I think they have a lack of identity. I don't know where, and now look, when you have, sometimes he gets in front of the microphone, he doesn't tell the truth. A football team doesn't have an identity on offense. I think he got an identity on defense. You know what it is? Relentless pursuit. Now, let me give you my takes on defense and what I think their identity is. Strong, fast, relentless, smart, high IQ, technicians, gap responsibilities. I'll tell you, the people that play on that Vic Fangio defense have some of the highest IQ of football you'll ever see in your life. And they excel. It's relentless pursuit. Zach Bond sets the tone. Cooper sets the tone. As a matter of fact, the tone setter on that defense is Cooper DeJean. Ever since you put that guy into the starting lineup last year, was it after the bye they did it? Maybe a game before the bye? Ever since you put that kid in the starting lineup, the attitude and identity of the football team was built. He has set the tone for that defense and the way that defense pursues, the way that defense tackles. Listen how I'm talking about the defense. Again, I asked the question. I'm following up on the coach's comments. What's the identity of the offense? Stumbling? Wobbling? Help me out here. By the way, you better figure it out because you got the opening round of the wild card coming up. How important is that? Well, I'll tell you what I think San Francisco's is. They'll spread you out, and they're going to try to beat you clearly in the passing game. And they're going to try to beat you, I think, with a little bit too much finesse. The Eagles, in my opinion, I don't know what you are in offense. I know what you are in defense, though. I think you're a half team with great playoff experience. And your experience has clearly, and your talent has overcome the lack of an identity. Cooper and Bond are the backbone of the defense. Yes. Some would go, so is Carter. I think Carter's just a great player in there. I think the backbones and the identity of your defense is Zach Bond and Cooper DeJean. And I'll tell you what, I feel a little better when Dean's in there playing too as the lightning bolt. The guy looks like he gets electrocuted every time he runs to the football and he's blowing people up. Okay? I mean, hey, Silz, what other team is dominant on both sides of the ball? That's why it's wide open. Hey, I didn't say that you didn't have an opportunity at winning the Super Bowl. That's not what I'm saying. Okay? That is not what I'm saying here. Vic's system calls you to be a disciplined unit until certain key players like Coop, Dean, and Bond have elevated it with physicality and high IQ. Don't trust Kevin Patullo. Isn't it funny? You hear now people saying that Kevin Patullo is not very good. Kevin Patullo was the wrong idea. Hey, guys, we questioned it when they named him day one. And don't pretend you didn't hear it. I know some of you now pretend you didn't hear shit we say. But we said it from day one. Why are you hiring a guy that's never, ever in a million years ever called to play? And you're handing it over to a guy that just won the MVP in the Super Bowl. It was one of the major questions that we were asking the entire offseason. Why are you doing that? It's played out that way. Here you are. But by the way, it's irrelevant of a conversation anymore. You're in the playoffs. You're here. Whether Kevin Patullo sucks or not is irrelevant. It really isn't. It's an irrelevant conversation now. It's January 7th. You got to go play 60 minutes against the Niners. Whether Kevin Patullo sucks, whether Kevin Patullo's the right guy, that shit's for the offseason now. Or whenever it comes. If it does come. You know, I hear people on like the radio stations still debating Kevin Patullo. You're like, Kevin Patullo? Dude, it's January 7th. The opening round of the wild card is this week. What the hell kind of conversation is that? Is he good? We got 17 games to see it. You know if he's good or not. You know he's not good. You know he's spotty. That conversation doesn't have to be had. You know why? Look at the sample size of 17 ball games. 5 months of football. You don't have to say anymore. But when I heard Nick, and by the way, Nick was defending Kevin Patullo, says he's done a great job. So Nick says the football team on offense has an identity, and Kevin Patullo's done a good job. If that's what he thinks a good job is, so be it. We're going to find out. And I'm going to make this comment here to you on a Wednesday. Do I think the 49ers are better than you? No, I don't. No, not that group. I don't. But that's been irrelevant this year with the Eagles. Whether a team's better than you or not, you've lost to lesser teams. It's the first time in the Nick Sirianni era where you're not sure going into games with lesser teams if you can beat them. Or if the ugly Eagles show up or if the good Eagles show up. And the good Eagles rarely showed up this year. The relentless Eagles and the tough Eagles grinded these games out. That's why you have all these one-score ball games. Okay? Hey, that's an asset. Hey, we grinded a win out. Okay, that's great. That's kind of an identity as well. Grinding wins out. Margin of error is so low, right? So, I mean, if Nick and KP are smart, then Hurts' legs, empty set spread, and under center runs should be their style of play throughout the playoffs, and don't let up. I think up-tempo needs to be a little more. I think the best Philadelphia Eagle offense is up-tempo. When they go up-tempo, Hurts is more in rhythm. You know why? The offensive sideline can't get involved that much because it's more in Hurts' hand when you go up-tempo. It's funny, every time you put the game in the kid's hands, the kid excels. When you take it out of his hands, the coach is getting his way. I told you, I took a ton of bricks off of Jalen Hurts' back, second half of Buffalo. I've been consistent since Buffalo's second half. I'm convinced that the sideline gets in his way. I'm just convinced of it. Listen, I'm not going to sit here and tell you he's a perfect guy. But at the end of the day, if he's not a perfect guy, don't get in his way at least. And they get in his way with the inconsistent play calling. Do you know why why do you think it excelled last year? I get it, because of the run game and all that. I got it. Okay? Reports say that Harbaugh wants the Giants job. I think he probably sees Jackson Dart with a skill set like Lamar that can run. Joe Schoen, John Harbaugh, I don't know. They do not coach to Hurts' strengths. Haven't in 4 years. Last year, think of this. You had a great run game last year, correct? Okay. You had a great run game. No question. Great run game. But why did Kellen Moore get it done? Kellen Moore knew how to coach Jalen, even with Jalen's limitations, to win a Super Bowl. Kellen Moore didn't get in Jalen's way. And Jalen bought into what he was doing because the run game was so good. Kellen Moore changed his entire mentality of how to call games. He's not a run coordinator. He's a pass guy. But they changed it up, and Hurts went with it. And Hurts actually, in my opinion, a year ago, after the bye, he probably played some of his best football because they went on a tear. This year, when they had to rely on him, they stopped him and they hampered him. Hey, let me ask you this. Every single time that Hurts got something going, in the Rams game, in the Bucs game, in the Buffalo Bills game, all of a sudden the coordinator would shut the offense down. I don't believe the quarterback shut it down. I believe the coordinator shut it down. Okay? It's like they don't trust the kid. Or maybe they don't trust themselves. Silz, in my opinion, with the Niners depleted on D, and Huff being their best lineman, Milan and Barkley should have a field day, run stretch plays. Where have you been and where will you always be exceptional in the offensive line? At your tackles. Why not run more stretch plays? Obviously, Landon and Cam and Steen are not what it was a year ago. Run them damn stretch plays. Okay? Nobody's playing possum, dude. You are what you are coming out of the NFL season. I mean, you just played 5 months of football. Nobody's playing possum. Now, Hurts might take off more. He might take off more. Get this. How many people believe this? Guaranteed the coaches trust the Super Bowl MVP. Okay? How many people believe this idiotic comment by how they called the plays this year? How many people believe this idiotic comment that they trust the MVP? How many people believe that? That Kevin Patullo and Nick Sirianni trusted the quarterback to where the offense was pathetic this year. Okay? Do you think Kevin Patullo, 2 games this season, a quarterback doesn't complete a pass? Style of play? Do you believe that? How many people believe that? Nobody believes that. I mean, still, San Francisco's weak at linebacker. So wait a minute. San Francisco's weak at linebacker, so the game plan is perfect for backdoor counters and Goddard over the middle. You're making it sound like you have a creative play caller. Jalen is a coach's player where he won't go against the scheme, but he should do it more. Seems like the trust is gone for Patillo as it did with Saban. I'm not really putting this more on the kid. I'm putting this more on the coaching staff. They don't trust the guy. I mean, every time Jalen Hurts gets the ball in his hands, we're going to take a look at something here in a minute. Jalen Hurts has not had a four. Has Jalen played 4 quarters of football this year outside of Minnesota? Can you name me a game? Let's take a look at it. Can you name me one football game this year outside of Minnesota where he played 4 quarters of football? Let's see. Let's go down to teams. Let's go down to Eagles schedule. Tell me where he played 4 quarters of football. One game. One game. Not the Minnesota game. Name me one other game that he played 4 quarters of football. Second Giants game? Okay. So we got 2 games. Minnesota and Giants 2. Okay. Okay. 2, I'll give you that. I'll go there. Giants, 2 games. He played 4 quarters of football. He acts like we're the Browns. I'm not talking about the quarterback here, and I'm not saying you're – once again, kid, stop being so butthurt when things are being conversation about your football team heading into the playoffs. Stop being a baby. These are big boy conversations. If you can't take it, take your shit and get out of here. These are big boy conversations. Nobody's ripping anybody. It's a conversation. Okay? Ask you. I don't believe that's on Jalen 4 quarters. I believe that's on the coaches. Do you believe the coaches are going to open the offense up more in the playoffs? Or are they going to tighten it more? What do you think? Will they tighten more? Or will they let up and open it up more to allow the quarterback to win games, knowing full well that the running game is not where it was? You think they open it? Maybe more. I'll tell you what will open that offense more if they run the football more. There you go, Samuel. I'm with you. Samuel, I'm with you. Guys, please hit the like button. We appreciate all you in here. Thank you. Okay? Everything is on the table. Holy cow, 38 minutes in. He finally nailed one. Very rare for him. He's usually an ofer. This guy's usually like Bryce Harper in the opening of the season. 0 for 28. Yes, with quarterback runs, I happen to agree. This guy's the Bryce Harper of the Big Silz show here. 0 for 28 numerous times. He gets a home run, though, every now and then. And he's able to scratch himself. Congratulations to you, kid. Wasn't there a game when we thought that there was defensive deficiencies, but we didn't take advantage? Yeah, Chicago. Jessica, Chicago's not a good defense. Okay? They're not a good defense. And you never took advantage of it because why? Chicago ran the football down your throat. So think about that. 2 games this year that the offense was a 4-quarter offense with the quarterback. Again, this is not a Jalen Hurts rep. This is more on them over there on the sidelines. They are just so conservative. For a guy who used to go for everything on 4th down, all of a sudden now, this guy's lost his coconuts. These coaches need to take their tampons out and coach. It's a winning formula for him. Nick has found something. And especially in a league right now where you're not really seeing a lot of dominant teams. Dude, the Rams, it's funny. I think the Rams are a finesse team. You know what I think Carolina is? I think Carolina is a physical team. I do. I think they're a physical team, and I think that's why they beat them. I don't think the Rams can handle physical football teams. You see what Seattle did to them? Every time Seattle gets them on a field, they beat them up. Whether they lose or win, they beat them up. I don't think the Rams can handle physicality. That's why Carolina beats them. I don't know if they beat them this weekend, but Seattle's physical, Carolina's physical. They went up to Lambeau and beat the Packers up. Now, when you play against finesse teams and you're a physical team, always gives you the advantage. I'll take a physical team over a finesse team any day. I don't care who you are. And that's why Carolina's got a puncher's chance this weekend. They've already proven they beat them. I know. You know what's crazy about, fans? It's one thing when, every time I bring up the Chicago game, you know what people go? Oh, you're hanging on that Chicago game. Well, if this was a 7-game series and you guys had beaten the Bears in a 7-game series, 4 games to 3 or 4-1, that'd be one thing. But football's not a 7-game series, my friends. Football is a 1-game on-off. And it's a 1 game to itself, and it's a 1 game in a season. There's no 7-game series here. You show up, sometimes you don't show up. And you didn't show up that day. And you know what you hear in Philly? You hear people saying, well, this ain't baseball. This ain't basketball or hockey. You got to play 60 minutes of ball, and it determines your season now that you're in the second season. Yeah, well, that didn't count. Yeah, well, they all count. Okay? They all count. If you played 60 minutes of football, yeah, but we didn't put our best effort in. Well, that's on you. Hit the like button. We appreciate it. All right. Playoffs. I'm hearing everybody. I heard Big Z say it. I heard everybody in Philly say it. Jalen Hurts is going to have a big weekend against the 49ers. Okay. We're going to do a little diving into that. Okay? All right. I want to go over some of these with you. So, January 16th, 2022, Jalen Hurts, 23 of 43 against the Bucs, 53 percentage, 258, touchdown, and an interception. We'd probably, give that a D? Okay. Divisional round, 2023. New York Football Giants. Again, this is the 22 season, 23 playoffs. Against the New York Giants, 16-24 for 154 yards, 2 tutties. What do you think? C? Plus? What do you think? C plus in that? Silz, why is it when I see Ruben Bain, he reminds me of Javon Curse? I see Ruben Bain, I see Will Anderson. Okay? What do you think, Philly? B minus? B minus? Let's see here. No, because everyone's talking about his playoffs, and we're going to, at the end here, how has he played in the playoffs? 16-24, 154 yards, 2 touchdowns. How do you think he played in that game? What would you give him as a grade for the 154? C? I'll go C plus. I'll be fair there. The NFC Championship game. 15-25 for 121 yards and no touchdowns. How do you think he played in that game? What do you think? 15 to 25 for 121 yards and no touchdowns. That was the NFC Championship game. How do you think he played in that game? Didn't turn the ball over. I don't think when you win an NFC Championship game, it's anywhere near D. No. You don't turn the ball over, you win the NFC Championship, and you're the starting quarterback. You don't get D's. You don't get D's for that. Okay? You don't. So what? C+? Let's go another C+ there. Okay? You don't get D's for winning a NFC Championship game, even though you didn't do much in that ball game. And that was a Reddick ruin, right? That was the game Reddick destroyed people. All right. Super Bowl. February 12th, 2023, 27 of 38, 304 yards, a touchdown. How do you think he played in that ball game? How do you think he played in that game? How could he play A+ when he had a fumble in the game? I'm going to go here with you. I'm going to go A- only because of the fumble. I thought he was great in the game. I think an A- is great. Okay. So let's go back now and let's go to the next game. So we've got, in his first four, we've got D, C+, and A. Not bad. So let's go into the January 15th, 2024 wild card against the Bucs. He was 25 of 35 for 250 yards in the ball game against the Bucs, and I believe that's when they lost to the Bucs in that game. I think they scored what was it? I think they got beat up in that game by the Bucs down in Tampa. That was the game without A.J. Brown, if I'm not mistaken. Correct? So, F. 25 to 35, 250, touchdown. In that ball game, I thought it was a C-. Okay. We're looking at his playoffs, and what we're going to do is we're going to come up and that notion that he plays great in the playoffs, I want to put that to the test here. I don't think there's anything going over somebody's resume, is it? What you do when you're talking about a job. Okay. 2025 playoffs. 1/12/2025. Eagles versus the Green Bay Packers. 13 of 21 for 131 yards and 2 touchdowns. How do you think he played that game? Against Green Bay. 131 yards passing. Green Bay was a C, Crowley? Give him a C? C? Let's see here. 13 to 21. 61.9% in completion percentage. His lowest output outside of the San Francisco championship game, where he was 60%. Won the game, which matters. Okay. What do you think? C? I go C. So let's go divisional round. Los Angeles Rams. 15 of 20, 128 yards passing. No touchdowns. How do you think he played against the Rams? Everyone, is saying about big moments. How do you think he played? What would you say? What do you think? See? You win the game. That matters. 15 to 20 for 128 yards. What do you think? Silz, were these fans getting all this confidence from? Should have lost the Bills game, played 2 stiffs before, and before that, a 3-game losing streak. Pump. I think they're getting their confidence from the history of them being in the playoffs the last 5 years. That's where they're getting it from. You're not getting it from you're getting it from your defense. Again, what we do here is we talk in reality. We don't talk in wishful thinking. I would say this, that Hurts played in that Rams game, probably C. Now, the NFC Championship game, 20 of 28, 71.4 completion percentage, 246 and a touchdown. That's an A. The game, the setting, okay? Right? I'm going to make a point here in a minute. A. Okay? All right. The Super Bowl, 17 to 22 for 221, 2 touchdowns, and a pick. How do you think he played in that? It's the Super Bowl, too. So put that in context. Okay? Okay? I'm going by what the stats say here. I didn't say he had a touchdown against the Rams. Rams, he had no touchdowns. How do you think he played in the Super Bowl? A? Okay. So I'm going to show you this. NFC. They're pretty average games in the divisional wild card games. Where he's excelled is in the 1 NFC title game and the 2 Super Bowls. The rest of these games have been average. Okay? Now, average with not turning the ball over is key. How many sacks has he taken in the postseason? Let's see. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. He took 7 sacks in the Rams game. 2 and 2. So he's taken 22 sacks in 9 games. It's quite high. But like I said, NFC title game, he was 60% in 2023. The Super Bowl, he was exceptional. Probably his best game he's ever played is that 23 Super Bowl. It was better than the one he won this past February, in my opinion. The rest of these games are average. But you can't just dismiss that he's not played well in the biggest games. Like, you get him in the biggest games, like the NFC title games and the Super Bowls, he's excelled. Okay? He's excelled. Hurts is the best quarterback in the playoffs right now. Okay? Again, guys, don't get mad at what I just pointed out on what he did, what he's done. That's his resume. It's not an opinion. I thought I was pretty fair here. We all went down the list and we did it together. Okay? I mean, we went down the list and did it together here. What are you talking about? I'm not making I'm in agreement with you guys with some of the grades that he had in the other games. It's not ripping anybody. I'll tell you what, if you go down Lamar Jackson's list of playoff games, there's F's on that list. If you go down Josh Allen or any of these other guys, there's F's on that list. Do you know how hard it is to win in the playoffs and play well? You think a C+ grade is bad in the playoffs? Hey, man, you don't get the NFL playoffs on how more difficult it is to win. I'm going to show you something. And I'm going to show you something here on a guy. And I'm going to bring up a point to you on something here. Okay? They loosen the handcuffs in each round. Let's see here. Here you go. So, I want to show you this. Here's Montana in the divisional rounds. 21-31, 304, and 2 tutties. But I also want to go here. Here's Montana in Super Bowls. 14-22 for 163 yards in the touchdown. Here's Montana in an NFC Championship game. 30-48 for 350 yards and 3 touchdowns. Here's Montana, another NFC title game. 17-27 for 328 yards, 3 touchdowns, and no picks. Here's him in a Super Bowl. 23-36 for 363 yards and 4 touchdowns. No picks. The guys that play in those big games like Jalen does, okay? I bet you wouldn't leave out Allen's rushing stats. Yeah, I would, because that's not where I'm talking about here. Try to stay along, kid. Jalen Hurts sucks. You guys, that's not the record of a guy who sucks in the post. You're completely missing the point. I'm talking about guys playing in big moments. Guys, why are you mad when we went over what he did? Why are you I'm not ripping anybody here. You didn't like what here. NFC wild card game in 2022. He was 23 of 43, 53 completion percentage with a touchdown and a pick. It was a D game. In the divisional round the following year against the Giants, he was 16-24 for 154 yards and 2 touchdowns. Okay? That's a C game. The NFC title game is 15-25 for 120 yards. No touchdowns. I don't know. C+, they won the game. It's an NFC title game. I gave them kudos for that. Super Bowl, 27-38. I gave him an A- only because of the fumble. What are you moaning about? In 24, the NFC wild card against the Bucs, they were killed. It was a C- ball game. They got murdered. They didn't even put any points up on the board. Barely. The following year, Green Bay, 13-21 for 130 yards, 2 TDs. We gave him a C. All of us did. The Ram game, 15-20, 120 yards, 128 yards, no touchdowns. NFC title game, great game, 20-28, 246, a TD, excellent ball game. I gave him an A. Super Bowl, I gave him an A for that. I'm not sure what you're talking about. Why are you upset? I mean, Rest of those games are pretty like average ball games. So when Jalen shows up in those NFC title games. I haven't seen a divisional game or a wild card game that says anything different. And if you're saying that he's going to show up on Sunday, in 9 ball games, there's been no example of that. And especially coming out of this year. So you're assuming that all of a sudden he's going to do something he's never done in the playoffs before. Is he capable? Absolutely. That's right. Okay. So let's do this. D, C plus, C plus, A minus, C minus, C, C, A, A. What would you give Jalen Hurts as a playoff performer? Individual playoff performer. What would you give him a grade of? You can't do his resume without using rushing yards. I'm going to use his play in the pocket. His play in the pocket. Okay, how many rushing yards has he had in the postseason? Let's put that up there. Again, let's go here first, and then we'll get the rushing yards, and we'll add that. What would you give him? A B because he's dual threat. Hurts playoffs, B plus. Playoff grade, B. Okay? Let's see here. Bro, he did it on I gave him massive grades for that. I didn't absolutely. I ain't worried about a wild card. You hear this guy? I'm not worried about a wild card game. Okay. So then you're not worried about the Niners on Sunday, right? Intern Sirianni? He could play average in that game and they'll win. Okay. All right. A B because he comes up in the big Super Bowl moments. Each additional playoff game matters more. Completely agreed. Okay. We can't do a simple conversation without somebody getting their panties in a bind. It's crazy. It's like we're talking about your girlfriend or your wife or your kid. It's nutty. And it's actually weird. I mean, it's weird. Not worried about wild card game. Which one of the worst offenses? Yeah, but you got a big time game player here, show. Hurts did whatever he needed to do for the team to win. Well, I mean, okay. Well, he didn't do much in those other games. As a matter of fact, he's never won a world playoff game in his entire career. You underestimate playoff Jalen. Dude is different in the playoffs. Well, I mean, we just went over the playoff games. I mean, okay. That's how you see it. You're the one who has the weird infatuation. Bro, if you don't think everyone in San Francisco right now is talking about Brock Purdy or Aaron Rodgers in Pittsburgh, or you have no idea the team is going to win on Sunday based on the quarterback's play, isn't that what you tell me? What do you want to talk about? A fucking kicker? What do you want to sit here and talk about? An offensive line that's been banged up all year? If you're going to win the Super Bowl, Hurts is going to have to do what Xander says. He's going to have to be exceptional on Sunday because you've been unexceptional this year on offense. The last couple of years, you've been able to get away with C efforts. You can't have that this Sunday because a C effort with a C running game will get you beat. He is going to have to play great in a game that he traditionally hasn't played great in, the opening rounds of the playoffs. he's going to have to do something in this opening round against the Niners. Barkley's done nothing. Okay? Nothing. And to sit there and think all of a sudden you're just going to flip the switch, Jalen's going to have to play great Sunday. I would give him an overall playoff grade. I think he's got a B playoff record. Or performance. He's got an exceptional playoff record. As a player, I think he's got a really great B record. As a performer in the playoffs, especially when you're talking the games like the Super Bowls and the one NFC title game. The other NFC title game, he was a non-factor in. Because that was a defensive effort. They just destroyed the Niners in that NFC title game. The defense was exceptional. That's pretty much right. Jalen Hurts is about a 150-yard game quarterback. Yeah, and lately he's been not really running. Maybe that, and I do agree. Okay? Now here, Guy, I'm not going to debate any of that shit with you anymore. Not happening. We're talking about the quarterback and his postseason play and how he's played in the postseason. Because I heard everybody in Philly telling me how great his performances were. So we went down and looked at them all. That's all. Anything wrong with that? Can't depend on the run. Hurts is going to have to throw the ball a lot. So you think that offensive coordinating staff, who hasn't thrown the ball a lot, as a matter of fact, let's take a look at something here. Let's see here. Has he improved in one number heading into this, heading into the playoffs? Let's see here. Jalen Hurts so far has taken 32 sacks. That's 12th in the NFL. Guys who have taken less are Rodgers, Darnold, Caleb Williams. Stafford's only taken 20. Nix has taken 22. Wow, Spencer Rattler. Well, he only played 9 games. So, I mean, I think he's improved a little bit. I think heading into the playoffs a year ago, I think he was in the 40s. Okay? I think he was in the 40s. Okay? Hurts going to run. No sacks, watch. Okay? 49ers don't have any linebackers. All right? Hey, Verbal, do me a favor. I want you to remember you're saying all these things about the 49er defense. I happen to agree with you. The 49ers have nothing on defense. No excuses, right? Okay. There's no excuses. Do you agree, guys? There is no excuses for a bad performance against the 49ers and that defense. If you listen to John, John's telling you they have nothing. So you should expect a 300-yard performance. 220 from Jalen. 100-something yards rushing from Barkley, correct? They don't really have anything over there. No excuses, right? Okay. You know, the Chicago Bears were like 28th in defense. Here, let me double check that. Want to be fair. See something here. By the way, I'm not ripping anybody here. Let's see what the Bears are. Okay, let me ask you something. So the Chicago Bears are 29th in defense. You didn't take advantage of that defense. What happened? Let's see what the 49ers are. 49ers are in total D. They're 20th. Giants are 28th in defense. They beat you. Let's see. Any other team? No. Bears don't have a good defense at all. 49ers actually have a better defense than the Chicago Bears. Do you know that? Heading into this football game, the 49ers have a better D than the Bears. Now, they don't have the running attack that Chicago has, but they throw the ball around the yard. They're like fifth in offense heading into this game against you. So they're kind of a little bit like the Chicago Bears, except that the Bears run the ball and San Francisco throws the ball. They're not very great on defense, but they've got skilled weapons on offense. And the one thing that favors San Francisco in this game is that you don't take advantage of shitty defenses. Maybe that, hey, listen to my words. Maybe that changes. But that hasn't been what you did all year. Now, here's the conversation that people are having now. I would say that 7 out of 10 Eagle fans that I talk to are dismissing the 2025 regular season and what they saw this year, except when it came to the positives on defense. The stuff on offense, you've completely dismissed. Okay? You've dismissed it. And you're looking going into the playoffs going, we're going to take advantage of that. It's like when I hear John talking to Xander in the morning, John's going, we're going to be able to do this. We're going to be able to. Where's the sample of that?